In recent years, we have seen a resurgence in Toyota's presence in the sports car market. That is a good thing. We now have the GR Supra, GR Corolla, and GR86 from the largest automaker in the world. But looking back, not too long ago, Toyota stopped making sports cars altogether. The 7th generation Celica, Toyota's sporty and light front-wheel drive racer, marked the end of an era. The Japanese brand had kept the Celica line in the family for 36 years before reaching its bittersweet end in 2005. It was a transitory period for many automakers, as performance vehicles fell out of public light. The last Celica generation was Toyota's official goodbye to a long-standing model. Is it more interesting now, 17 years later, at its current bargain prices? Before we get into the news, make sure to like and subscribe to enter a $500 Amazon gift card giveaway. Comment down below if you are interested in purchasing the Toyota Celica. Don't forget to watch till the end to find out how the Celica shocked the entire car industry. Let's keep in mind what Toyota was going for when they designed the 7th generation Celica. This vehicle came from a concept car dubbed XYR, which stood for extreme, youthful, and racy. The intention from the beginning was to target a younger audience. To achieve this, the car needed to be fast, livable, and have a low price. The Celica would be the test pilot for what Toyota's now Scion brand would become. Some call the Scion TC the Celica's spiritual successor. Both cars had the same plan in mind: to target and attract new younger buyers. The Celica needed to be the car that could do everything. Toyota at the same time was also making the Toyota MR2 Spider. Yet, that was a car defined by compromises. It was no question the better driver's car, as, after all, it was RWD Roadster with 2 seats with the engine in middle. The Celica instead filled a different gap within the market. When new, the MR2 Spider attracted older buyers, and it was often a second or third car. The weekend mobile, not the daily. Instead, the Celica gave you a taste of the MR2 without sacrificing any livability. This can be the daily and weekend warrior all in one. Depending on the state of your wallet, the Celica experience could vary. Stateside, there were only 2 performance trim levels for the Celica, the GT and the GTS. For enthusiasts, the GTS is a no-brainer. The base GT came with a 1ZZ 4-cylinder, the same unit found in the MR2 Spider. The 1ZZ produces 140 horsepower at 6,400 RPM and 125 pound-feet of torque at 4,200 RPM. A solid engine in its own right, but more of an emphasis on economy rather than performance. Having said that, we won't complain about averaging 30 mpg in a fun, budget-friendly chassis. So why can't we stop thinking about the 2ZZ 4-cylinder found in the GTS? This engine was co-developed with Yamaha. It is a safe bet to say, if you collaborate with Yamaha on engine design, they can almost ensure you a classic. The 2ZZ, which puts out 180 horsepower at 7,600 RPM and 130 pound-feet of torque at 6,800 RPM, is no different. 100 horsepower per liter with an 8,300 RPM rev limiter is a sure way to win over enthusiasts. Notice something about the peak power RPMs? This engine encourages you to rev it out to the absolute top, like a sport bike. Thank you, Yamaha, for putting that in an economy car. This 1.8-liter engine was so good Lotus used it as the power plant for the Elise Roadster. In many ways, the Celica GTS attempts to capture the allure of a sport bike. It's light, revs high, and is fun to toss around in the corners. Its ultra-low curb weight of 2,400 pounds, GT manual, to 2,500 pounds, GTS manual, gave it very capable handling. The GTS sees very little performance compromise even at its low price point. It feels like a well-rounded coupe with a clear focus on making driving fun. Whereas the GT has obvious cost-cutting measures like rear drum brakes to keep it well under $20,000 new. Yet, it is the GTS that stands out years later, much due in part to the Yamaha engine. Back in the early 2000s, the design of the Celica defined what it meant to be extreme. In retrospect, there are aspects of the Celica that have aged well and others that haven't. It was the Celica that Toyota used to coin the term liftback back in the 70s. The final Celica stays true to its liftback heritage. The base model Celica already looked unlike anything else in the Toyota lineup at the time. Put side by side next to its Civic competition, the Celica looks like a 2040 model. Yet, Toyota wanted you to understand that they could get crazier. They were happy to sell you more if you so desired. So they also offered an elegant package, full body kit for early model years. Starting in 2002, there was a more aggressive action package body kit also available. If you thought the Celica couldn't get more boy racer at the own hands of Toyota, you'd be mistaken. In 2003, the Celica would receive its midlife refresh with new front and rear fascia. The Celica also received new taillights along with optional HID headlights. This quelled a bit of its overbearing, racy aspects and trade for some much-needed maturity and styling. Both the GT and GTS came standard with 15-inch wheels. Yet, for a jaw-dropping $42, you could upgrade the GTS to sportier 16-inch wheels. Safe to say almost everybody that bought a GTS new did so. Those prices make us miss the good old days. So, while the Celica might not be the most beautiful car in the modern automotive landscape, its quirky style remains unique years later. You have to appreciate how telling of its time the design is. Now the issue is more finding a Celica that's bone stock and in great condition. Let's make no mistake. The Toyota Celica is an economy car no matter how you look at it. It isn't a true sports roadster with only speed in mind. It isn't a regular old sedan only made to get you from A to B. The Celica is the middle of the road. Yet, with some options on the Celica GTS, it was a very different experience from a bare-bones GT. That is it for today. Make sure to like and subscribe.